Well, that SEC resolution definitely took some steam out of XRP, didn't it?
It really did. Yeah, it pretty much wiped out, what, 5 months of gains?
Something like that. Last I saw, it was hovering around $2.33 to $2.50.
Yeah, in that ballpark. But look, instead of, getting bogged down by the dip, maybe we should lean into the extreme optimism for a bit.
Ah, okay. I like the sound of that. Extreme optimism. Are we talking moon Lambos or something else?
Maybe not quite Lambos today, but we are diving into some really, really out there XRP price predictions. The kind that make you wonder if you're reading the right chart.
Ah, the Super Bowls. Got it.
Exactly. We're looking at forecasts from a couple of prominent XRP believers who are throwing out some truly huge numbers for the future.
Huge numbers. Okay, I'm intrigued. So our mission today is to really unpack these predictions, understand the thinking behind these, let's say, ambitious targets.
Precisely. We need to figure out why they're saying these things. First step, let's tackle Remy Relief. You've probably heard the name floating around if you follow XRP chatter.
Oh, definitely. Known for some very long-term, very bullish calls, usually tied back to fundamental value, right? Like XRP actually being used.
That's the one. So Relief's big number, the headline grabber, is $10,000 per XRP.
Okay. Wow. $10,000.
$10,000. And according to reports around May 12th, he sees this potentially happening between 2027 and 2030. So a few years out.
Right. Okay. Longer term, but still $10,000.
Right.
That's the core idea there. It can't just be hopium, surely.
Well, according to Relief, no. It's all about massive, widespread adoption by financial institutions, like XRP's utility really kicking into high gear.
The cross-border payments revolution finally happening on a grand scale.
Exactly. Taking on SWIFT, basically. And that network handles, what, something like $1.25 quadrillion annually?
Quadrillion. Okay, that's a big pie to take a slice of.
Relief thinks XRP can grab a significant chunk. And get this, the reports also mentioned he even floated the possibility of $10 as early as 2026.
Sooner. Wow.
And even whispered about maybe $1,200 within 2025.
$1,200 this year. Okay, even that's a massive jump from, $2 and change. So what's the mechanism? How does he see this actually playing out?
Here's where it gets, let's say, particularly interesting. He talks about this private ledger theory.
Private ledger. Okay, sounds a bit cloak and dagger. Tell me more.
The theory goes that there's a separate, possibly even sort of hidden XRP ledger.
Hidden?
Used by apparently around 1,700 institutions and private companies. And crucially, they're all supposedly under NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. So it's all happening behind the scenes.
Okay, under wraps. So what are they doing on this secret ledger?
Relief suggests they might already be testing XRP transactions, but at much, much higher prices, maybe even close to that $10,000 mark.
Testing at 10K. So like a shadow financial system running on XRP at valuations we can't see.
Kind of, yeah. Quietly experimenting, setting the stage. It's the idea that the real value discovery is happening privately.
If that were true, that would completely change the game for how we interpret the public price. Is there any, public data that even hints at this? Anything?
Well, proponents point to things like a 2022 report about CBDC trials. It mentioned the Ripple private ledger hitting, I think, 1,500 transactions per second during digital euro tests.
Okay, so high throughput capabilities there.
Right. It's not direct proof of $10 transactions, obviously, but it's used as evidence that the tech can handle high-value stuff within these private networks.
So the argument is this private activity builds up and eventually it spills over, causing a huge public price adjustment. It's definitely a bold theory.
It is, and it gets even more unconventional.
Oh, how so?
Relief has also talked about this idea of Ripple potentially setting a $10,000 floor price for XRP, a basement price.
A $10,000 price floor? How would that even work technically?
Yeah, this is where it feels like we're stepping into sci-fi finance territory. The concept involves using things like decentralized oracles, maybe Chainlink, and possibly even AI, maybe based on IoTA tech. And these systems would basically automatically trade XRP to defend that $10,000 level if the price ever dropped near it, like an automated safety net.
An AI-powered $10,000 safety net for XRP. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot to process. But surely these kinds of predictions face some serious pushback.
Oh, absolutely. Loads of skepticism.
I mean, just the market cap alone, right? For XRP to hit $10,000, we're talking multi-trillions of dollars. That seems challenging.
Extremely challenging. Many analysts just don't see that as realistic, certainly not in the time frame mentioned. And the whole private ledger thing.
Yeah, what's the criticism there?
It's mainly that there's just no concrete public proof. It's intriguing, sure, But until there's verifiable evidence, it's viewed as highly speculative.
So, fascinating idea, but firmly in the speculation zone for now.
Exactly. Reports often flag it as just that. You've got this powerful belief in the tech's potential bumping up against, current market realities and the need for actual proof.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, let's shift gears. Our second analyst, Javon Marks.
Yes, Javon Marks. Now, this is a completely different approach. We're moving away from fundamentals and speculation.
And into the world of technical analysis. Charts, patterns, history repeating itself, that sort of thing.
Precisely. Marx is known for looking at historical price action, finding these repeating patterns or fractals, especially comparing current charts to XRP's huge run back in 2017.
That legendary 2017 explosion.
Right.
So what's Marx seeing in the charts right now? What's his target?
Well, his analysis around May 16th suggested XRP could be heading for a surge to around $123.
Okay, $122. Still a massive number compared to now.
Huge. From around $2.40 at the time, that's like a 50x gain. Some of his other work mentioned targets like $99 or even way out there, $200, but $123 is the more recent focus.
50 times increase. So what's the historical pattern telling him this time?
The core idea is that the current chart setup looks remarkably similar to the beginning of that 2017 price explosion.
Interesting. Similar how? What are the specific parallels?
He's focusing on a breakout from what he calls a huge multi-year pennant pattern. Think of it like a long consolidation period starting back in 2018 where the price got squeezed tighter and tighter.
Building up energy before a big move.
Exactly. And he sees the current price range, around $2 something, as lining up with a key Fibonacci level, the 1.0 level of this big structure.
Okay, and how does that compare to 2017?
Well, back in 2017, XRP rallied from, tiny fractions of a cent up to about 0.036 cents. That acted like a similar 1.0 fib level then, before it paused and then went absolutely parabolic past $2.10.
Ah, I see. So the breakout from this long pennant now is maybe like that first big move in 2017, setting the stage. What about the recent sideways action we've seen?
Marx interprets that as consolidation, a pause. Just like there was a pause in 2017 after that initial move, before the really explosive phase began, the market catching its breath, basically.
Gotcha. So if this historical rhyme continues, where do the Fibonacci levels point next, according to Marx?
Okay, so based on the current structure, the next major target, which is the 1.618 Fibonacci extension, would be around $9.63.
$9.63. Okay, that's the next potential milestone if the pattern holds. And the big one, the 123 cents.
That comes from hitting the 2.618 Fibonacci extension. It's basically implying the same percentage gain from that final massive leg up in 2017 onto the current chart structure.
So replicating the scale of that final 2017 blast off.
Wow.
Okay, what kind of market cap are we talking about if XRP actually hit $123?
Let's see. With the current circulating supply, quick math puts it at roughly $7.2 trillion.
$7.2 trillion.
Yeah.
Just for context, that's more than Bitcoin and Ethereum combined right now.
Okay.
More than the entire crypto market today.
Pretty much, yes. It's a staggering figure, which naturally leads to the criticisms of this prediction too.
I imagine so. Relying on history repeating perfectly seems risky.
Very. Many analysts, even some within the XRP community itself, argue that the 2017 fractal just isn't relevant anymore. The market's changed too much.
How so? What's different now compared to 2017?
Yeah. Well, you've got way more institutional money involved now, a much more developed regulatory landscape, even if it's still messy.
True.
And just overall market maturity. It's not the same Wild West it was back then.
It's a different beast entirely.
Exactly. So the argument is the conditions that allowed that specific 2017 surge just aren't the same anymore, making a direct copy-paste unlikely.
So that $123 target and the $7.2 trillion market cap it implies, critics would say that's just overshooting reality for this cycle.
That's the main counter-argument, yes. Overestimation based on a historical pattern that might not apply anymore. The cautious advice would be, maybe don't bet the farm on hitting that exact peak.
Right. Take profits along the way, perhaps.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something about full logarithmic follow-through. What's that?
Ah, right. That's another technical concept. Sometimes analysts use logarithmic charts for long-term views because they show percentage gains more clearly than linear charts. The full logarithmic follow-through idea is basically that the entire shape of the last bull run's pattern, measured in percentage terms on that log chart, could repeat itself.
So if the last run showed, say, a 10,000% gain on the log chart from bottom to top, this theory suggests another similar percentage gain could happen from the current bottom.
That's the gist of it, yeah. It's another way technical analysts can arrive at these extremely high targets, just based on the chart's historical behavior on a log scale.
Interesting. Okay, so let's just quickly recap the two main viewpoints we've explored.
Sure. We had Ramir Relief coming more from fundamentals and some pretty speculative theories like that private ledger.
Aiming for that $10,000 mark eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe $1,200 much sooner.
Right. And then Javon Marks, purely technical, looking at historical chart patterns, the 2017 fractal.
Projecting potential moves to around $9 or $10, and then maybe, just maybe, up to $123 based on repeating history.
Two wildly different methods.
But both landing on these incredibly bullish outcomes.
Absolutely. And both, let's be honest, facing some pretty big questions about realism and feasibility in today's market.
It really highlights the spectrum, doesn't it? From grounded analysis to, well, potentially life-changing predictions.
It does. And look, it's fascinating to explore these ideas, but it is so important for you listening to remember these are predictions. Big ifs involved, lots of counter-arguments we touched on.
Absolutely critical to keep that perspective. And maybe just one final thought to leave everyone with.
Yeah.
Right now, talking about $123 or especially $10,000, it feels, astronomical, almost absurd.
Understatement, perhaps.
Huh, right. Anyway, if exploring these, let's call them ambitious XRP scenarios was useful for you, maybe give that like button a click. It lets us know you appreciate these deep dives.
Yeah, definitely helps us gauge what you find interesting.